Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Coffee Talk with Liquid Shano 1973. This is a little bit of a different one that I'm doing here tonight. It's live. I'm going live right now on the Liquid Shano 1973 page and then also on the YouTube page. And so there's a couple things that I want to be able to talk about tonight because I think there were things that were on my mind and I wanted to be able to chat about them, but I want to do it a little differently tonight because I feel like it's important to take a look at things and really look at the brain work and the places that we're trying to sit at and where the places that we're going, right? So here's what I was talking about today. I was having a conversation with somebody and I found a video. It was a small video clip and it was a commencement speech by somebody. And in the commencement speech, they sat up there in front of all these people and they said to these folks, like, as they're, it's always about positivity, right? It's about conquering the world and doing all kinds of stuff that you want to do. And it's all that different stuff. And one of the things that they said in this commencement speech was they talked about how people are afraid of failure. Okay. Afraid of failure. So tonight I actually did a couple things that were different for this podcast. What I did was I actually went on over to my TikTok account. I went live over there and I caught some ideas from people. They brought some really good things to the table. They were talking to me about just having a good sense of what's going on. Dave, what's going on, man? How you doing? Good to see you. See, I got people coming into the show. Love seeing Dave Conry over there. So, and so I asked their question. I asked the question very similar to what I'm saying here is that what he said was that people are afraid of failure. And it stood out in my brain. I sat there and said to myself, wait a minute. Okay. There's many things I was thinking about with this topic. If we're going down the road of trying to be able to accomplish great things, whatever it is, if you're trying to accomplish great things in art, like my man Dave over there, if you're trying to accomplish great things in writing or reading or music or anything, we always ask ourselves the question of why are we afraid of failing? What's the reason that we are afraid to get to a point where we're going to fall? Because most likely we're going to fall. 9 times out of 10, if you're going for something that you want to be able to go for and you're stepping out of your comfort zone, you're going to fall and you're going to fail a little bit. And it's interesting because we are afraid of that. Now, when I asked the question over on TikTok, I asked the question of if we know we're going to fail at certain things and we're going to fall and we're afraid of it, but we know that we're actually going to learn from that failure. And whenever we fall and whatever we do, if we can learn from it, to be able to learn some of the things that we did, some of the things that we learned, some of the things that the avenues that we took, the paths that we took, whatever it is, and we went down that road and we learned from it and we're better because of it, then why are we afraid to go through it in the first place? Right? I mean, we shouldn't be. We should be embracing fear. Now, I know that that's going to sound really weird. There's going to be a lot of people going to be going, wait a minute, you can't tell me to embrace fear. Fear is like what, or whatever. Here's what I mean by that. If we're at a point we are trying to be the best version of half marathon, you wanted to run a marathon, you wanted to go down the road of lifting bench lift or bench press 180 pounds or whatever it is that your goals are, whatever it is that you're shooting for, that maybe you're stepping out of your comfort zone to go and do. And you're brave and you're amazing for doing that because you're really pushing your limits to go there. And you're going to probably hit some setbacks. So why don't we embrace those? If we know we grow from them, and we know that we are at a point where wherever we go through these types of things, we become stronger, we become wiser, we maybe age a little bit, and maybe it hurts and it stings and it doesn't really feel that great whenever it's happening. But we need to embrace these kind of things because we're going to be better for it, right? So some of the things that I wrote down from some of the folks that I was just asking, I went really quick live over on TikTok and I was asking the question. One of the biggest things that we took out of it was I was talking to them about when you learn from the mistakes that we've made in the past and the way that we have fallen and the way that we slip and skin our knees or break a leg or whatever it is, trying to get to where you want to get to. And you learn something from it and you come out on the back end healthy and you're ready to go and you're doing the things you have to do. How do we learn from those kind of things? Are you just coming out of it going, oh, you know what? I'm glad I got through that. I'm so glad that I just went down the road of going, whew, man, wipe off my brow. And now I know that I just went down the road of doing the thing that I wanted to do. I made some mistakes. Okay, that's great. Now I'm on the back end of it. I'm good to go. Thumbs up. I'm all set, right? How do we know what we learned? And one of the things I had shared with them and we had talked about was taking inventory of the things that you're doing. So, as many of you know, you're looking at the video feed right now, and you're listening to me on the podcast too. When I release this and put this out there, I got a pen in my hand. And one of the big things that I always talk about on the podcast is to journal out your journey. Okay, take a journal, write down your thoughts, write down in the morning or in the evening, write down the things you're going through, the things you want to accomplish, write down your whys, write down the reasons why you're doing it. Right? All these things are super important in the psyche of where we're going. And it's interesting because if we could take inventory of the things that we are learning from our failures, it's one more thing you can have in your arsenal of items and tools you can put in your pocket to be able to move forward with. Now, if I know that I'm going down this road of trying to accomplish stuff and I've got a toolkit, a belt that I could put on there, almost like a superhero belt that's got the Batman little things you could shoot up to the top of the building and you can kind of fly real quick or whatever else. But I know that these are tools that I could use in my journey that I'm trying to accomplish. Wouldn't you want to set yourself up like that? I mean, I would. And I thought about it tonight and I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of things that I've failed at in the past that I don't know if I've necessarily reflected the way that I should and taken inventory on what I've done well and complimented myself on some of the things that I've done to be able to get through the stuff and be able to move that forward. It's really difficult to do so. Sandra, how you doing? Good to see you. So the way I think to myself is, okay, so if I've got a goal that I want to accomplish, something really cool that I want to go for, there's a couple different avenues, right? One of them is going to be if it's something you've never done before. One of the people on TikTok was sharing with me, hey, you know what? I had a business that was making $10,000 in profits. And I stepped away from the business because it wasn't fulfilling me. And it was a risk and it was scary. And they fell and they were like, man, I'm going through so much getting there. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, how brave was that this person said to themselves, I'm not getting the fulfillment I'm getting with a $10,000 a month profit business that they're making off of, it might have been a fitness business or whatever, but they were sharing, I think it was a cash cow. It was something that they were profitable with, but they stepped away because they literally said to themselves, this isn't fulfilling me. It's not giving me some good soul food to keep moving forward. And I said, wow, man, I said that's crazy. And I thought to myself, what a risk that is. You could have failed so many different ways doing that. But he was like, it just made sense to me. And then I said to myself, well, why aren't others doing that though? Why don't others take risks of things that they want to be able to accomplish, things that they want to be able to do? Deborah, how you doing? Good to see you over on Facebook. So it's just interesting to me because we're afraid of accomplishing some of the things that we really want to accomplish. Why? Because we're afraid of failure. And we're afraid of putting ourselves out there that we might skin our knee, or we might make a mistake, or we might be embarrassed, or we might not really feel like we're navigating it in a space that we know what we're doing. It's like walking again, right? When you're a toddler and you're just trying to be able to get up and try to move around or whatever else, you wobble in the knees, or you're trying to ride a bike for the first time, and you're going to fall. You're going to fall, but the end goal is, I'm going to keep on moving forward from it. I'm going to learn from my mistakes on how to check my balance and move from back and forth and side to side and all those things. But we don't do it as adults sometimes. We don't learn from our prior mistakes. We kind of go through the motions sometimes. And then we also don't take risks in situations where you need to take risks. It blows my mind when I'm thinking about it because here I am on a microphone with you guys on a live stream on YouTube and then over on Facebook, and I'm playing in the space of Instagram and then TikTok, and I'm doing videos and video casts and interviews and all this different stuff, all the while having a regular job that's paying the bills. And I'm doing it because that's my passion and that's what I'm drawn to. And it's still risky, guys. It's risky, right? It's risky for me to be able to go out there. Here I am, a business consultant to other agent owners, people that I work with, all these folks that I'm out there with, right? And I do my job well, and I'm really, I really feel like I have good relationships with people. We have good relationship building. I try to be inspirational, motivational, the best that I can, all those things. But it's still risky. I would love to be doing this right here on the microphone 1,000 times more than anything else that I'd be doing. Why? Because I feel like I'm changing lives. I feel like I'm making impacts. I feel like I'm lifting people up. I feel like I'm getting people to think more forwardly in their lives, or to think more positively about themselves, to look in the mirror and not see somebody that's a failure, but rather look in the mirror and see somebody that's amazing and worth the investment of working on, or worth the time to take to say a positive thought when they first wake up, or drink a cup of coffee and think to themselves, I'm going to really kick some tail today, and I'm going to do amazing things today. That's why I do it. Because if I can get myself to think that way, I know I can get others to think that way. So these are the risks that I'm taking to be able to fulfill the dream that I want to be able to accomplish, whether it's through a podcast that I'm doing, or whether it's through live streams or anything like that. In general, be able to speak to people and be able to get them to really think differently about themselves. Now, I know that's a risk, and I know that comes with lots of pitfalls. Social media is not easy. Social media can have a lot of bullies and a lot of trolls and a lot of people out there that are just not very nice, right? And I know that. And I take that risk jumping headfirst right into it to be able to put myself out there. I talk about my family. I talk about me. I talk about heartfelt stuff, all that stuff. And I know that that's a risk, but it's worth the risk to take. So the point that I was thinking of was, how many of us don't take risks in our lives because we're afraid of failure and never really experience the things that life can offer? You know what I mean? So it's interesting because I think a lot of people go through life, whether it's through the motions, whether it's through certain jobs that we have, or things that we're doing, checking the clock, right? We punch the card, we go like this, and then we walk on and we do our thing, and it's not really this sense of I'm fulfilling myself, or I am achieving what my heart's desires really want to achieve. And why is that? Is it because it's not really achievable? It's a pipe dream. Maybe I'm thinking to myself, I could climb to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. Is that really feasible and possible? No, not really, but it's a dream or whatever. And it's not going to be achievable. Or could your truth sense and true thoughts be, I can do that? It's going to take work. It's going to take energy. It's going to take time. It's going to take dedication, but I can do it. I got to set a goal to it, and I can shoot for it and fight for it. Right? Thanks for sharing that, Sandra. So we're all in this place where we're just sitting, like hovering a little bit, right? We're not really going for our goals. We're not really going for the stretch goals, the ones that are outside of just the confines of just achieving one day, one goal for the day or not. And so it really sparked my interest when I heard it. And just to catch people up that weren't on the beginning of this live, I was listening to a commencement speech. And if you guys follow the show, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Charlie is one of my favorite characters on there. He's really great. And he's the one that was doing the commencement speech for the college that he was talking at. And what he said is that here's my key to success for people, or for myself. As you know, he's one of the writers of the show, one of the creators of the show. They put it up in front of all kinds of different, networks and different whatever. It got turned down 1,000 times, and then finally FX took them, and then they jumped with it, and now it's one of the most successful shows on their network. So he shared that his biggest key is he doesn't give a crap. And so people laugh and they're like, okay, well, what do you mean? And what he said is that you have to know that you're not going to achieve the greatness that you deserve to achieve unless you take the risk of failure, unless you take the risk. It's just like when you want to be in love with somebody, right? He said, if you want to be in love, you got to go into it with the risk of loss. If you want to be successful, you got to go into it with the risk of failure. All these different things that he's talking about, where that failure piece to it is a negative connotation, and it hurts you, and it gives you all these bad emotions, and it stings, and it's gross, and it's just all that stuff. And what he said is this is the space that you got to park in to think about, okay, if I want to achieve truly the things that I want to achieve, I must take chances and risks. Now, for anybody that's going to listen to this podcast or listen to this live cast that is not a risk taker, right? It's okay. I'm not saying to go out there and jump out of a plane tomorrow. What I am saying is push your limits. Get uncomfortable. Do the uncomfortable things. Do the dirty work that you know is necessary for you to achieve the things that you want to achieve. Put yourself out there. Take a risk and a chance. Wouldn't you tell your kid that's growing up, just like I mentioned a little bit ago when they're trying to ride a bike, wouldn't you tell your kid, hey, buddy, listen, you're going to fall when they go through a bad relationship or a breakup with a girl or a guy, if you got a daughter or a son, or when they get their first job or they may have gotten fired for something or got blamed for whatever the story is. And then we as a parent may stick up and stand in and say, hey, you know what? Listen, here's the deal. That happens in life. You're going to fail sometimes. But we give them the advice of just get back on the wheels and keep on pushing forward and keep on being amazing and keep on being worth it and keep on moving on and go for it and keep going for your dreams, right? We do that with our kids, but we don't do it with ourselves. And I don't know why, but we don't. And we should. We should tell ourselves, it's worth the investment, buddy. Listen, you want to accomplish that thing? Put one foot in front of the other, get off your tail, and go make that happen. Put a goal in place. Even if you've got a career built around something that's kind of paid the bills and you've been doing the same thing for a long period of time, at the end of the day, if you want to change it, then change it and go down the road of changing it. When the gentleman on TikTok shared with me earlier that he had a $10,000 a month profit job that was there, or a business that he had opened. I mean, he was a two-part business owner at 17 years old, was a grinder. He's a grinder working it out, but it wasn't fulfilling to him. So he knew he had to go down the road of doing something that was more fulfilling, more worthy for him, that he felt good about. He just dropped it. And he said, I'm going to move on. Who does that? Right? I feel like a lot of us should be in a place where we go, am I really getting everything I need out of this? We're only on this earth for a short amount of time, right? I know I am, unless I'm going to live till I'm 3,452 when they find the cure for aging, around that time frame for me. But for me, I'm literally going to be having to step back and go, okay, I got a short amount of time on the earth. Am I getting everything out of what I'm doing in my life? Am I being a great dad? Am I being a great husband? And am I motivating and inspiring people in a way that I want to be able to motivate and inspire people and continue to outreach and continue to do the things that I want to do? That's me, right? That's where I'm at. That's the journey that I want to be on. And that's the goal that I want to set for myself. So a lot of it is all about what Charlie said in the beginning of the commencement speech, where he says, I don't give a crap. I don't care about that anymore. I don't care about being faced with embarrassment. I don't care about being faced with failure or no's or anything like that, because I'm still going to go for my dreams and I'm still going to go and fight the good fight to make sure that I can accomplish whatever it is I set my mind to. So if any of you know the podcast, this is where I get all deep in the weeds a little bit, but that's okay. It's worth it because I'm talking it through in my head. Because there's things that I still want to accomplish and there's things that I want to do. And when you're playing in this social media space, it's hard. It's hard to be able to play in here and feel successful when, one, you don't make money off of it. Two, you're just trying to grind and keep on pushing things forward to be able to do it. And it takes time and it takes energy to put content out and do everything that's there when you've got a family to support and everything else. So, but I feel that the worth of that risk, it matters. And I've got to continue to invest in that. And if it's worth it to me and it's something I really want to accomplish and do, how can I hold myself back from that? I shouldn't. I should go for the goals that I want to be able to accomplish, achieve the dreams that I wanted to be able to achieve and do and meet and those kind of things. Yeah. So it's deep thoughts, but it's a reality, right? If anybody that's listening right now on Facebook or YouTube, if you guys want to, tell me what your thoughts are on this. Sandra already said I'm guilty as charged. Me too. I definitely am afraid of failure sometimes. I'm afraid of skin in my knee still to this day. And I've been through ups and downs, been through overs and unders. I've been through all over the place. And my life has been a pretty wide range of emotions and experiences and whatever else. But I know that I've got to keep moving forward and keep on pushing the limits for me to get uncomfortable and go down that road. You know? So I hope that it resonates with some of you that are on the podcast. When I put this out on the audio form, leave some comments in there. Let me know what you're thinking. You can also email me at liquidshano1973@gmail.com, and we can chat that way because I want to hear from you. I want to hear, because it was so insightful when I was on that TikTok group earlier. I was just on there on the live, and we were talking about some stuff. And the taking inventory piece was so big for me because I talk about it. Anybody that's been on my podcast knows I talk about it all the time. Take inventory of your life. Take inventory of your positive things that are going on in your life. Take inventory of the negatives. Take inventory of anything you're trying to work on. Maybe as you're working your way up to certain races, take inventory, take spots, take barometer checks and whatever else, right? And so here's the thing, right? Exactly. Let me put you up on the screen. Sheila, that's right. Right. It was a great conversation because when you do take inventory and you quantify the things that you're trying to be able to do and the things you learn from your failures, you're only going to be able to move forward. And then when you learn from it and you keep moving forward, you're only going to be successful moving forward. That's pretty amazing. So it was eye-opener. A bell went off in my head when I went, that's the key. You know, when I first started off trying to lose weight, I wanted to lose 100 pounds. I needed to quantify that. So that's why I started writing things down, because I wanted to make sure each day I was able to jot down what I was successful at, where I was at with it, how I was working at it, what I was learning, all those things, right? The responses I was getting from family, those kind of things, my emotions and all that stuff. And I was writing those things down. And I think that that's really super important to learning from our failures in our past, to use those tools moving forward. And I loved it. Okay. All right, guys. So we're right about the 20-minute mark here. I know I usually keep these things pretty short and simple and sweet. But like I said, if you've got any comments or anything like that, you can email me at liquidshano1973@gmail.com on the audio podcast or right here on the live cast. It's going to be right up on my YouTube channel and on my Facebook page at liquidshano1973. And you could see both of them right then and there. And then a couple of the people that had stopped in for the comments as well. And I appreciate all of you and all your support. And the reason I do these types of things is because of folks like you that watch it, folks like you that listen, put me in your ears as you're going for your exercises, you're going to do your stuff. I've been told by so many that I was listening to you today, or I even had one earlier today that said, I just found your podcast from TikTok and came over to your podcast and it's changing my life. Wow. Right. But that's why I'm doing it. And that's why I need to be here with you guys so that way we can do it together. And don't forget also, we also have another live stream called Two Kitchen Tables and a Microphone with me and my buddy John. We do it on Friday nights where we have like a glass of scotch or whatever else. And we sit down and just talk about funny stuff and talk about life in general or whatever else. But the deeper stuff's right here with the Coffee Talk with Liquid Shano 1973. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for the support. And we'll talk later. Okay. Have a great night.